Okay, I think that's it. Here we are. All right, we live. Well, hello everyone. I'm Rena Golden. I'm the founder and artistic director of the Avenue Black Box Theater, and I am so excited to be launching this week something that we've been working on really hard. We're excited about reconnecting with our youth and our families and our community to bring you the Blocks on Lock. And the Blocks on Lock is an exciting collaboration that is with the city of Rochester, our mayor, Lovely Warren, finding a way to bring all of the creative influencers and leaders together to help impact what's going on or what we might be able to prevent happening in our Black and Brown community, specifically with the coronavirus spreading and still being out there, kind of lurking. But an opportunity for us to find some creative ways to keep folks safe. So we decided, we want to get folks connected so they can stay protected, and specifically just lock down our blocks in some ways that are, some creative ways that also allow us to still stay engaged, stay active in some ways, and also, some things that feed our soul, right? So that's what we're doing here, and I'm excited to have brought together a number of folks to make that happen. I'm gonna go to like this gallery screen mode here so you can see everybody who is on right now. I'm gonna go ahead and unmute folks. Feel free to mute yourselves and if you're not the person who's speaking at the time. But I want to introduce the leads for this particular block, which is a songwriting block, and we're gonna see if maybe they're gonna get a little, they're gonna put a little something together for us that also help us stay protected, or stay home, stay safe, say something. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know when creative genius comes together, there's no stopping us. So we got Danielle Ponder, we got Avis Reese up in here, and y'all know them and love them. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna come off camera and let them take it away at this point.
Hey everyone, my name is Danielle Ponder. I'm super excited to be part of this, partly because we have not been performing. We haven't been able to go on stage, which is really my passion. So I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about myself, and then Avis is gonna tell you about herself. I've been performing in Rochester for a long time, probably like 15 years. Believe it or not, I started off playing at coffee shops. I would bring my guitar and bring like the songs I wrote, which were in the beginning all like very political and like Black Power. And every Monday I would go to the coffee shop and sing my songs. And then I just started performing more. I've been in different bands, and now we've gotten to the point where we got a really good following. We've gone to Europe 4 times touring, and it's just been an amazing experience. I grew up in Rochester. I went to Wilson, and that's a little bit about me.
All right. So, my name is Avis Reese. I am a Rochester native as well. And I've been performing kind of on the live scene in Rochester maybe since 2010, I want to say. But I grew up playing in church. I play keyboard and organ. And so, kind of, it's been an interesting transition between the two worlds. I have my preference that I'll probably let you guys know later. But I think, in terms of just this music scene, there is so much I'm learning about how there is space for so many different types of expression, that I didn't realize that growing up. I thought you had to be a very specific type of artist. I thought that only what we saw on TV in the mainstream in terms of playing, singing, writing, I thought that was the only thing that was accepted. And so I think I'm exploring this space where I'm realizing there's more and more ways to express music that people actually appreciate. And so, yeah, I went to Aquinas for high school, which was not really part of my musical background. So, yeah, that's just a random tidbit.
Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple of the songs that we wrote together. So typically how I write songs is I really don't have a notebook or anything I write them down in. And Jay-Z always says, oh, I just come off the top of my head. But I really think that's because we have all of this technology where you just, if any of you are songwriters out there, you probably just do a voice note or you do, something on your phone, and that's how you write your song. So that's typically my process. Is I'll be like, sometimes my stuff is really terrible. And you wake up the next morning and you're like, that was awful. What was I thinking? But the night you were writing it, you thought it was like the best thing ever. So typically I start with a voice note. I may start doing some instrumentation, like I play guitar. I use a program called Logic. If you have a Mac, you could use GarageBand. If you have an iPhone, you can also use GarageBand on your phone. And then I might send that song to Avis to see what she thinks and see if she'll add anything. So I'm going to play a little bit of this song called Fool. Now, I want to tell you about this song because I wrote this about somebody I know, right? And this person was with somebody she knows she had no business being with. He was a dog, as we say in my age. He wasn't a good person for her. So yes, the good thing about songwriting is like you could take your friend's business and you could write about it. But also if someone breaks your heart, you get to write a song and you get to put them on blast. So it's really a beautiful thing. So this song is called Fool. And so this is what I initially had for the song. We've come so close together, lay by your side, and I feel like a fool is alive. I feel like a fool is alive. So there's more to it, but I'm just gonna play a snippet for the sake of time. So I'm playing the keyboard there, and you can hear that because I sound like a 12-year-old playing the keyboard. And I also don't really know how to play, so I just was playing like the same chords over and over again. So then I sent that to Avis, and I was like, do you think, what do you think about this? And she sent me this back. A couple things she did. She changed the sound, and the sound quality is probably not great, but she changed the sound where it doesn't sound so much like a toy piano anymore. And this is what she sent me back. We've come so close together, lay by your side, and I feel like a fool is alive. I feel like a fool is alive. Now, something, I hope y'all can hear this. I wish we were like in a classroom, but she changed one of the chords when I go into, and I feel like a fool as I lie. She made that chord much darker, which made that part of the song a little sadder, right? Because at first you think I'm singing a love song, like I love my man, like we've come so close together, I stay by your side. And then I'm like, but I feel like a fool as I lie. And just that chord change that happens right there, I'm gonna play it one more time. So right here, the chord changes. So the chord gets darker and it kind of matches the emotion of the song, right? So Ava sent that back to me and I was like, oh my God. And we're really just talking about two little things, a chord change, the change of the instrumentation. And I felt like it gave the song so much power. I'm going to play a little bit of the chorus of the song. So that's not the whole song, but that's where the song goes to. So it's just so beautiful how you could take one idea or one conversation you may have had with a friend, write a song or write the lyrics, send it to another friend, have them write the chord progression to it. And we doing this all over the internet. So Full is just one example, and that song is probably going to come out in a couple months. There's so many other steps that happen after you write the song. You have to get it mixed, you have to get it mastered, but we don't have to get all into that. I think the point is to get into the emotions of it, because to me, the most important thing a songwriter does is make people feel. I don't care what you're talking about, either make me feel happy, make me feel sad, make me feel whatever, but make me feel something. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me when it comes to songwriting. And we're going to talk about another song. Avis is going to play this one called 3-Word Revolution.
Yeah.
I think with this one, you'll hear like our progression, like how we changed a bit of our vibe as a band. But Avis, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, and before I talk about that song in particular, I'll go back to Fool, because like when Danielle sent me that song, I didn't change much, and I kind of want to emphasize that because I just replayed her chords. She said she played like a 12-year-old. No offense to the 12-year-olds that we're going to be mentoring, but
I thought it was 13 and up. 12 years old, they're great as well. They can do all the things.
No, but like I really didn't, even though I, am a certain level keyboardist or whatever, I really didn't change much of what she actually did. So so I just kind of want to point that out too. I think sometimes with songwriting, we think, oh, because we can't play the chords 100% this way, it's not going to sound whatever. I really didn't change much with that one. So going to 3-Word Revolution, I am going to share my screen. Hopefully it will sound a little bit better. And I'll play the original version that was on our original EP, and then I'll play the remix and then talk about it. So y'all can hear that okay? Okay, so here's a version from a live show. Not too long ago, I was a little girl in an old place street. And now here I am, and my people are here. And I want to say thank you. Yeah. Now this part, Danielle totally freestyle, and then the song starts right here. Ever since I was born, people try to tell me what to do with a goal, how to wear my hair. They told me God is a man who would surely burn me if I didn't follow the rules, but that ain't fair. There is a rebel inside of me, a girl who knows what she wants to be. Oh, there is a dreamer inside of me, and So, yeah, we decided to remix from the original version to that, and they feel like night and day. They feel like two completely different songs. And both of them have their power and their value in their own specific ways. But I can't even remember 100% what the motivation was. Sometimes I think just after playing songs for a while, you just try and think
I
of
thought it was corny. I just thought it was corny.
I was trying to be delicate with it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be delicate. I thought it was cheesy. I wanted something a little darker. I wanted the vibe to be a little cooler. And honestly, a lot of our music is, I'm like, I changed my mind. I'm like, this vibe is wrong. Because that's how I am. I'm very indecisive when it comes to creating. But I'm so happy that Avis was able to make it something better than what it was.
Well, thank you. It's so funny because I remember when we were sitting having that creative session, and just how I started with those chords in the intro. And initially I was like, I know I like it because I like certain things that are that kind of dark haunting thing. But sometimes I think I had a little bit of reservations because people are so used to the original version, or were so used to the original version, and it was so different. And I think that's another part when it comes to songwriting, is like, okay, am I catering to the people who heard the original version at our live shows, or am I catering to the artist, who is Danielle, who really feels like she wants to go in this direction? And so I think having a certain focus with this process has been helpful for me. So yeah, there's that.
And I think we're going to take some questions. Anderson, is that right? Or was that Rena who said that?
Oh, that was me. Yeah. So I think we've got a couple of teens on the line. Maybe they'll ask questions for themselves. Maybe they'll ask questions that they think maybe other teens would want to know in order to decide which of these workshops, or set creative sessions are best for them. So I'll just take it away. Unmute yourself when you're ready.
I have a question. Okay, so when you're writing your songs, right? Let's say you're writing like the first verse, like the first word, right? Or voice recording it, because I know Miss Danielle said that she does that as well. Do you like write the whole thing and then go through it? Or like, okay, you write one verse and you write another verse and you're like, okay, boom, boom, that sounds kind of good. And you continue on after it sounds good.
I mean, I don't think I've ever sat down and wrote a whole song from start to finish. Like typically I just might have a chorus and I'll be singing that chorus in my head for a week. And then the rest of the song will come to me. You know what I mean? So I think most of my songs come whenever the inspiration comes, like they come in piecemeal. And honestly, sometimes all I had is a verse and the song needs to be recorded and I got to rush and finish the song. So it really depends for every song. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Are you a songwriter, singer? What's your deal?
I'm a singer. I also am a songwriter. I'm learning. My dad, I went to Hogstein and my dad knows how to play the piano. So we have a piano here. I'm learning how to play that. Gotta mix it up a little bit, but yeah.
Is there another question? Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I love both versions. Like,
hey, Dread.
hey, yo, when Avis said it felt like night and day, it really did. Like, both songs, like, it's like you're saying the same words, but they do the like instruments have a different tone. They bring a different tone individually, but you're still saying the same message.
Right.
And I feel like that was dope. And you were talking about how emotion, like as a songwriter, how you just want to bring an emotion out. And that was cool that you could do that with the same lyrics, same song, two different, you know, music components, you know. That was just dope. Like, who came up with the idea to make two versions? And like, how did that go about?
Well, you know, it really was me. It was really wanting to scrap the first one because I feel like the first one, it sounded like it was very bright. It gave me very like 90s or, you know, early 2000s Jill Scott. And so it felt old and dated to me. But I really wanted something that sounded new and was vibier and like a little darker, even though I'm still saying the same thing. And so I really feel like Avis accomplished that by taking away that bright piano and instead doing like more, I'm not sure what it, I think you used the
Was
world
it like
on that.
something? Was
Say
it
it
or
again?
was it organs?
There's organs in the new version, and also there's about 2 or 3 years in between the two versions. So it's not like, you know, there's a lot of time in between the two where, you know, I don't think we initially set out to just make two versions, but I think a lot of the instrumentation is similar. I think I just made the chords minor, which makes it feel very different. And what else did I change? What else did we change? Yeah, I think the chords are the game changers, because the first version is very major, very happy. And I'm playing almost the same instrument, but it's just how you approach the instrument. That's different.
Mm-hmm. So, Avis, do you mix it like?
I don't. I wish, because that would be a money saver. But like, so I guess the thing that we do with our own capabilities, with like Logic, is we try to get it as close to what we want it to feel like. And so you kind of play with levels. And sometimes I think that's another thing that I didn't realize going into this whole thing, is just like, when you change one little thing, it makes something feel different. When you introduce something else, it makes it feel different. And so, you know, if that song would have been really loud guitar throughout the whole thing, it wouldn't have felt the same. And even like when we do it live, I start on the whirly by myself, and then halfway through the verse, then the rest of the band comes in, and it just like builds dynamics that way. We're not changing the chords, we're just adding a little bit here, and it just kind of gives this whole, like, it gives a vibe. And so so I think all of these things, it's just like, I'm thinking, oh, I got to do something real complicated and do all these like crazy things, and the core of the song is really, really simple. And so I like that approach with things too.
Yeah, it's like when you dabble with elements, how it creates. You don't need too much. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have another question for Miss Danielle. So like when you're like, so actually I have a question for both of y'all. So Danielle, when you like write, right? How do you like articulate the vibe or the feel to the mixer, or to the, you know, like how you do the instruments and Danielle does the lyrics? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you get the vibe of the song across?
Well, so I should say, I don't think I said this earlier, but I usually start with music. Like, I'm usually writing to music. It's rare that I write a song without having any music. And I feel like music always has a story that it wants to tell. And sometimes a producer give you beats and you go through 100 of his beats and you can't come up with any stories, you know, you need to move on. That's not a good producer. But there's some producers you like, oh, I know exactly what this song wants to tell. So I can hear an instrumentation and I know immediately, like, for example, I just wrote a song about this man who's been incarcerated for 20 years, well, actually since 1982, for stealing $9. When I heard the music, I knew I wanted to write a song about a person who was incarcerated. And it was something about how the sadness of the tone of the guitar. It was something about like the vibe and the music that called for those lyrics. So for me, I think when a producer gives you some instrumentation, your heart kind of knows what belongs on that track. So if that answers your question, that's how it works for me.
And I'm on the opposite end because I would prefer to start with melody, and Danielle's like, come up with some music. And I'm just like, okay. And so there's a lot of back and forth that happens with, you know, when you say like, how do you know to get the vibe or whatever, there's a lot of failed attempts that we have. And so it's really a matter of like, sometimes if we're trying to create basically a song from scratch, I think sometimes that is a different challenge too, where it's just like there's so many versions of a particular song that we're like, no, this doesn't have the same vibe that we're going for. And you either keep working at it or you scrap it. So it's definitely yeah, that's another part that
now Dread,
Part to it.
Dread, are you writing music right now, or do you just write? I know you do a lot of melody, a lot of lyrics. Are you playing anything?
No, I have a guitar and all the strings are on it, and I've been trying to get a hold of it. It's at my grandmother's house right now, but you know, I'm propelled to try mess with the strings. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So where do you get your instrumentation
I
from?
just say we can get a guitar, get you a guitar. I'm just like, this is the first I'm hearing about a guitar with no strings. So I'm just gonna put it out there right now on Facebook Live that we need a guitar for Dread or anyone else who is trying to, you know, to step their musicianship up. So I'm just putting it out there. All right.
My first guitar had 4 strings, and I love that guitar. Okay. I was the only girl in the hood with a little beat up guitar, but that's how I really started doing music when I was younger. So, but I agree with Rena. There's a million people out there who will give you a guitar. Trust.
But yeah, yeah, the
sorry. Go ahead, Dread, and then we've got another question because KK's had her hand up for a minute too.
Okay, KK can go.
Oh, and Gisele also, and I muted you, Gisele. So either put your hand up or drop in the chat if you still have a question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This one's more of like a comment. I guess it's question and a comment. So, Avis, you know how you said like the chord, it can change like the whole vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I was messing around, and this is actually yesterday. I was messing around with my piano, and I think it like just like the shock like of the chord really like just hit me. I was like, wait, hold up. This went from being like okay to like, you know. So when you're writing songs, right? How do you decipher which vibe you're trying to go for? So like, have you ever like changed it in the middle of it? And it's for both of you. Have you ever been like, oh, so I want to go for this vibe, or nah, actually this song is gonna end up being like this, so I want to change it into this vibe?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think most things I'll have multiple options just to see, and then I'll like play them back and see if the different ones make me feel a different thing. And like Danielle mentioned before, sometimes it takes kind of letting it go for a night and then coming back the following day to see if you feel the same way or whatever. So sometimes the changes are subtle. Sometimes the changes are extreme. Am I changing the whole verse? Am I changing just one chord in the verse? It just really depends on the song. And I usually feel like there's something, like when you say trying to get a certain vibe, I'll know usually if there's one part of the song where I'm just not feeling. And sometimes I'll know how to fix it, and sometimes I won't know how to fix it. And so then if I don't know how to fix it, I kind of have to decide, is it something that really no one else will care about? Am I like nitpicking over something that's not really that important? So yeah, but I do like to kind of just experiment with things. Like when you're practicing the piano, just kind of sometimes if you go at it without having an agenda, just kind of letting your hands fall where they may, and like you'll be surprised how much you learn just by experimenting. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I play now to this day that came from me just experimenting on the keyboard. So yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Were there any other questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna do the final. Oh, there we got Gisele had a question. Why don't you go ahead, Gisele?
So my question is for Danielle. When you're writing a song, how do you keep going? What motivates you to keep writing more words and for the song to make sense?
That's a good question. I can tell you I have about 200 unfinished songs on my my laptop. So for some songs, I do not keep going. And I think every songwriter has songs that they just didn't finish. But usually if the song moves me, like if it just really makes me feel whatever emotion I was trying to convey, there's songs like I listen to it over and over and I just love them. I think for most artists, you put out the work that you really love. And artists can be really hard on themselves. And I think we have a lot of songs that will never see the light of day. So the motivation for me is really loving the song, and really, and sometimes it's feeling like this is a song that has a great message that needs to be heard. Like the song I'm coming out with now, Poor Man's Pain. It wasn't supposed to come out, but I felt like it was so important, especially as a lot of people who are incarcerated are dealing with being away from their families in the middle of this pandemic. Um, but most of all, I'm motivated by loving what I'm doing. And if I love a song, I want to build it, I want to grow it, I want to see it blossom. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Are you struggling with finishing songs?
Yeah, like 2 songs, and I can't seem to get through them.
What do you think it is? Is it lyrics or is it music?
It's the lyrics.
Mm. Are you running out of ideals in regards to writing?
That, and also like I'm trying to, because there's like situations that I wrote the song based on, and I'm trying to find different ways to put it into like a story. I guess,
Mm.
but I can't. I can't, seems like I can't get through it at all.
Okay. That happens. It's called writer's block. Sometimes I really want to finish something and the lyrics aren't coming to me. Um, so if you join our group, which I hope you do, I do have some things that I do. You won't believe it, but I could tell y'all more about this in the sessions. I use Pinterest and someone told me to do this. I thought it was stupid, but it actually helps me. Like I created a Pinterest board for a song. Like, what's the vibe of this song? What does, what is the colors of this song? What does the person who might be singing this look like? So sometimes you got to get re-inspired. You got to walk away from the pen and the pad and get new inspiration in order to get over writer's block. And also bouncing ideas off of someone. Sometimes I have Avis who I could say, I don't know what to do next, and she can kind of help me through it. So we'll definitely keep that in mind and try to come up with some tools that'll help you finish your song.
Okay.
All right. Wow. So I just want to thank y'all for spending some time. Those who have already registered, then you're all set. You have a link to the Zoom. Make sure you're using the right one. If you have multiple classes that you, or creative sessions, I should call them, that you've signed up for different art forms. And so this one in particular, Songwriting with Danielle Ponder and Avis Reese, is going to be on, what's today, y'all?
Wednesday at 4:00.
Wednesdays at 4:00. Okay, I can't keep my days straight right now, but this is the day that it'll happen at 4:00, and it's an hour session. And you must register at avenuetheater.org. Please register so I can get you the links, because that is a little bit tedious. These are closed groups, so it's not a thing where you can share the link with someone who says, "Oh, I want to check it out today." So it's a closed session. So I have to have your email address, and the way to get your email address is for you to go to avenuetheater.org, and you'll see a flyer for the Blocks Unlocked that you can click on, or you can just click on youth programs, and it'll take you right into the registration form. And this is a free program. We are so grateful to the city of Rochester and all of our donors who make it possible for the Avenue Theater to now be virtual, right now. All right. All right. Okay, so thank you so much. And we're going to go ahead and close out. Peace, y'all.
Bye.